And joining us now is Jim Flanagan, who is the youth minister at St. John's, the Evangelist Parish in Hopkinton, and soon will be leading another mission trip to Honduras. And Jim, you've been on before, and as always, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
You know what? The first thing I have to ask is, I'm looking at your hairstyle. All right, I love it. I love it.
I'm glad you do.
I would. How's your wife? How's your wife?
She's a little skeptical.
Okay, and your son?
He was scared for a few minutes and then said, "But you look like Uncle Jesse for Jesse Manabusin." So.
But listen, all for a good cause. So tell us.
Yeah, I raised $1,040 for youth ministry that night at our auction. So.
Well,
pretty cool.
You have served at both the Archdiocese and parish level in support of youth ministry. What trends have you seen with Catholic teens?
I think the biggest thing is that they're still doing service. Service is still huge. Back in the day when we were doing it in the Office for Youth Ministry, it was just awesome. And now still in the parish level, great things are happening. For instance, in our parish, we're doing 4 different mission trips. We're going to Honduras in June. We're taking a group to Mississippi, down to Gulfport still. The last couple of years, we've done a trip to Alabama to work with the tornado victims. And then Just 5 Days is a program that's run out of the Center for Ministry Development that does it for middle school kids. So it's just really exciting. And talking to other youth ministers, too, that's their big key in getting kids into the church.
Jim, you're involved with the National Youth Ministry Leaders as well. And why is that so important to have that training, to have some professional development?
Well, I think that's one of the keys, is the professional development piece, and the Federation, along with the association, are doing really good things with that. Also, too, is that it gives us a chance to show the professionalism of youth ministry, that it's not just doing ski trips and stuff like that. There's a lot more to it.
You know what, I was just going to ask that, because they do. A lot of times when people think of youth ministers, they think pizza, the ski trip.
Well, pizza is one of them.
Well, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. And then all those things. But I love the component of service. I love the idea that these young people it's faith in action. Why is that so important, and how does it, as you say, how does it attract young people to the church?
Well, I think on a few levels. First, that they can use it for college. That's one of the, it's a minor thing, but it is something that gets them in the door, and who cares how you get them in the door, because their experience is so good after that, that they want to do it again and again and again. So
how do you bring it to the next level, though, Jim? So we bring them down to Honduras, which is a wonderful thing, Mississippi, Alabama. We show them the service. So we get them attracted. Now, how do we make sure that they're attending Mass, and where's the progression of it?
It's a challenge, for sure, but we're seeing that the kids have a good experience. You know, like for Mississippi, for instance, we do Mass every morning. And so they get excited about the Mass, and then you're hoping that they'll ride that wave and go to Mass every week. I think we just, as a church, just need to keep on welcoming them and inviting them.
And you must get a lot of reaction, too, from kids that you've done trips with in the past, and how has that affected them and their lives and what they're doing now? Good question. Go ahead. No.
I'm sure you see it, because we get people here all the time. We always get young people. And what they'll always say to us is there's a moment that changes their perspective on things. Because here we are up, right now we're in Massachusetts. And for a lot of these kids, they go to their church, they go home, they do their schoolwork. They don't know what it's like in Honduras. They don't know what a tornado and how that affects people. So it must have a dramatic effect on them to see the challenges that other people face.
Huge, huge.
It's unbelievable to me, too, to think that here are these young people who give of this time. How much time do they give, and what do they have to do in this process?
Well, we usually meet 3 or 4 times before the actual event to do community building, to do prayer, just the regular logistics that go with that. Then the week comes, and for Honduras it's 10 days. For Mississippi it's a week. for just 5 days, for the middle school kids. And then we usually do some follow-up after that, which is really important. It's a key component to that it's not just about the trip itself, but it's about what you're going to do with it after.
And what are some of the specific things that you'll be doing when you're in Honduras?
A lot of painting, a lot of visiting villages. The first year we had gone, we helped to build a roof. It winds up being a lot of painting and visiting with the villages and stuff like that. That seems to be the most important thing right now for them.
And pizza.
And pizza.
And pizza. You know what I always hear, by the way? I always hear that people go down, and it doesn't even have to be teenagers, it can be anyone. They go down and they're expecting that they're doing this wonderful thing for these people, which they absolutely are. But they learn sometimes more from the people that they're helping.
Oh, for sure.
Than that. It must be that must be a great experience to watch that too.
Yeah, going to the villages and just visiting with the families and stuff is huge. It's even more important than the painting. I think that's the truth with a lot of the mission trips that we do. The work is really, really important. It's really, really key. But going to listen to the stories is probably just as important.
So what would you say to a youth minister who's out there right now watching this, or someone who's involved in the church? How would they do something like this? Because it sounds like such a wonderful thing.
You know what? It's easier than you think. You know, it's a case of if you know that you can get some place to stay for the week, the rest is easy. You know, calling agencies to find places to work is pretty easy. I spent 7 hours, however. I spent 7 hours yesterday on the phone just trying to get flights.
That doesn't sound easy.
No, but you know, still though, if that's the hardest thing that I have to do, that's not that big of a deal. But it's worth every minute of the hard work that it is to do before it happens, because when it happens, it just flows.
And it changes.
In spite of me.
And it changes people for a lifetime.
Amen.
And changes. Jim, thanks so much for being with us today.
And thank you, Kevin.
Thank you for joining us on This Is the Day. We'd like to thank St. Jerome's Parish, Father Blaney, for coming in to start us off here great on This Is the Day. We'd like to thank Jim Flanagan, and Will, you'll be in our prayers, by the way, Jim, just so you know. You'll be in our prayers, and you and all of the people who are going down, all those young adults, for the work that they're going to do.